Good day everyone, once again, my name is Nick, and this is a roundup vid, which is no surprise if you're watching these in any kind of order. But just in case you aren't, let's do a quick introduction. These are games reviewed on the channel on the Commodore Amiga, 501 through to 550. If you see any snippets you like there, then obviously look at the full review. So let's get started. Starting off this chapter with Bridge Strike. It's a remake from the game on the Atari 2600 called River Raid, where you control this aircraft going as far as you possibly can, destroying bridges, avoiding being shot by boats and other aircraft. It plays quite well. It's like, I suppose it's like a public domain game. It's nearly fully released, so this is sort of like a modern day equivalent game, and it's good to see River Raid, a game I really loved on the Atari 2600, redone here. There'll be another one in a minute, so you've got a choice of River Raid remakes. How about that then? Zombie. Now this is based loosely on Dawn of the Dead, where you've landed in a helicopter with three other people, and you must defeat zombies by clicking on stuff, going through this shopping mall, picking up weapons and guns. There's one, shoot it you Wally. There you go. It's interesting, but it doesn't utilise the full power of the Commodore Amiga. I preferred it in 8-bit, but there you go, it feels like an 8-bit game. Rolling Thunder now, from the arcades. This version is weird. Play it on the Sega Mega Drive instead. The colours are strange, not like the arcades. The frame rate is poor, and he's got weird shoes on. Going indoors, getting bullets, and just walking around, going as far as you can do. An odd choice of music as well. I don't think you should have bought this one. It's an odd button to choose. Better on the ZX Spectrum, even better on the Mega Drive. And yes, what's it doing here? Well, it can roll away as far as I'm concerned. River Raid Reloaded version 1.1. This is another remake of, River Raid. I almost forgot then. Now you saw Bridge Strike is this one. This has got music on it. They're sort of like similar but different, I suppose. Do I prefer this one or the other one? Well, both have got positives and negatives. Try both of them. They're both modern day remakes. They're homebrews as such, public domain. You can slow the plane down more, it seems, in this one around. Well, there we go. River Raid Reloaded version 1.1. Advantage Tennis. There's quite a lot of tennis games now in this sort of like a section, but this one is quite clever. It's got a voice work there, and also it's like 3D, so it's really ambitious in what it's attempting to do. This is probably the most advanced tennis game that we've looked at on the Commodore Amiga. Does it play the best? Well, that's debatable, but they've got very skinny legs, a bit like me. The animation is quite good, but it takes a while to get used to the thing. It's Advantage Tennis. Boom. Mega Block 2, I haven't looked at Mega Block 1, but this is like Tetris. It's another public domain game. There's a cyborg cat there looking on. I don't think he's that bothered. He's got his head faced away from the action. It's not as good as Tetris, but it's a good attempt, I suppose. The grid is maybe a bit too wide. There's a bit more space. There are a few extra shapes involved. It doesn't really work a great deal, but why try it and reinvent Tetris? Tetris already is perfect. You got a tough one, but kudos for trying to make something at least a little bit different, add extra to it. War Machine, a rather pedestrian sort of like platformer here. You're on some blue asteroid and you're walking around blowing stuff up, trying to find certain bits to escape. It's not the most interesting game in the world. Also come out on the ZX Spectrum. I got to a certain point with it and then got super stuck, and there's no real incentive to go back again. If you like the reviews of any of these or want a bit more bump to it, is that the right word, then check out the full review in the Commodore Amiga playlist. War Machine. Thunderblade from the arcades. Now this game is let down by a poor control system. I mean, graphically it looks quite crazy, isn't it? I'm getting scared of heights here. I feel like I'm going to fall down as we go over these big licorice all sorts buildings. But yes, based on that, I think sometimes it is chase view, or maybe I'm remembering it wrong. But interesting, but very tricky to fully control all the way through. And here's the chase view bit. I was correct. There we go. Keep going. Don't get blown up. Weave left and right. A bit like Space Harrier, I suppose. Garfield of Winter's Tale, based on that cartoon character Garfield. Its master's John. Lots of mini games in this, including skating and stuff, but it's moving very, very slowly. It's not particularly exciting. If you're a fan of the comic strip Garfield, or indeed the film or the cartoon, then you probably get a lot more out of this. There's a lot of poor games in the Commodore Amiga, an underpowered one, and some that don't use the full screen. Kudos to this one, it does use the full screen, but is it exciting? Well, I'd rather play Lotus and Sweet Turbo Challenge 2. Ice Runner, public domain game again, influenced by games such as Low Runner in 8-bit. The idea is pretty the same. Get all the items, then get up a ladder, exit ladder to the next screen. It's a little bit flawed, this game. It's got a few bugs in it. I think the guy gets stuck after about level 4 or 5, but it's load runner, but it's set over a load of ice. So you want a 16-bit load runner, then probably this is your only choice, I think. So go with it. It plays not bad, the ones that work. Satan, what a nice little fellow, influenced by games such as Gods, which arguably were a lot better, but graphically looks absolutely wonderful. Doesn't use the full screen, as I mentioned before, but if you like Gods, you probably like this one for the extra bit of challenge. It scrolls okay without being spectacular, and there's different environments to explore as well. There's a bit to solve too. If you're into these sort of games, it's not a bad one. There are worse ones out there, but Gods for the win really by those good old Bitmap brothers. Buffalo Bill's Wild West Show. Collection of mini games. Here we have the knife throwing here. There's other ones where you've got to lasso some sort of a horse, and shooting, and all the ones you expect on the Wild West. This Cherokee woman is having you get extra points for knives near to her. It's okay. It's good to get for free, I suppose, but we'd like to pay full value of the thing. And some games you'll be better than others, but it'll keep you occupied for a certain length of time. Baby Bug, influenced by PacMan. Now, these are all being emulated, by the way. We go around a maze, we're opening doors, closing doors, collect all the items. You see there's some sort of spider ant thing in the middle that eventually get released and come after you. Interesting, although not as addictive as PacMan, but it's got that sort of level to it, and I'm glad they're doing something at least a little bit different. It's Baby Bug, you control the Baby Bug, don't get destroyed by any of the other bugs roaming around. 5th gear, not 4th gear or 3rd gear, it's 5th gear. I'd imagine it's influenced by Spy Hunter, but this time you've got a maze you need to drive around. Do certain stunts, just negotiate your way all to the end. It's pretty poor, really. Another underpowered Commodore Amiga game. The more we seem to do, the more of these sort of genre games we seem to, or at least quality level, we seem to get to. There's some really, really good ones, lots and lots, mainly in the middle, and there's quite a few poor ones. This is a middling one. Bug Bash. Now, the background didn't load on my version, so if you play this yourself, you might have a lovely, colourful plant-like background to go on, but I found the game too difficult. Maybe there's something more to indicate what's going on there, but I tried a few different versions of the thing on the Amiga 500, and this is the best I got. You can't go left or right, but maybe it's scrolling left and right if the background gave that illusion. But this pushed on the ZX Spectrum for me if you want some bug spraying sort of like game sort of thing. Alien Hunter, very, very basic indeed. Influenced by games I expect like Alien Breed, which did it a lot better. Check out Alien Breed by Team 17, I believe. But it's a similar sort of idea, so if you want a budget sort of like version, here you go. Collect keys, go through doors, shoot stuff, and generally escape there after you've hunted a few aliens about the place. Yes, a little bit boring. Looks a bit like that mine slayer game, Mine Layer, whatever it was. Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis, hugely quality game over a number of discs, not based on any movie at all, but indeed based on the Indiana Jones franchise. I think there was a book, wasn't there? Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis. We haven't read, or maybe a comic thing. It's click and point and click. Bit like The Secret of Monkey Island, so if you like those sort of games you'll love this one too, and it really brings you into the world of Indiana Jones, and yeah, it might help if you've read the book, it might not, but really nicely done. Rescue, you control a helicopter and you must pick up a number of stranded civilians and get them back to base without being destroyed by any of these emplacements here or running into any of the scenery. It's alright for what it does, it looks a bit basic again, but the gameplay is there. It is quite addictive, gives you something to do, and hooray for Commodore Amiga and everything. That graphic there reminds a little bit of Lemmings. I don't know if they've nicked it from that, but it does look very, very similar indeed. Soldier of Light. I played this first on the ZX Spectrum, I think. Lots of power-ups here. It's okay, but it's not the best game around. There's lots of action there, so if you want mindless action and shooting stuff, there's a number of different stages. I don't think you have to start always at the same place each time, but mindless violence, and that can't be too bad in a video game setting. You might not have heard of this one. You're a soldier of light. Well, he's more like a soldier of DNA, really, than light, but we'll let him off for that. The enemies will keep respawning, though. Rescue 2, Now, Rescue 1 with that helicopter, you might remember that a little bit earlier on, was quite good. This seems to have lost all the pizzazz and gone a bit more basic. You're controlling the ship a bit like that ship in the classic Asteroids, which isn't a bad thing. A lot of inertia here as you try and guide round, but basically shoot stuff to get through doors and negotiate your way to an exit, which is somewhere around here, but I don't know quite where. If you know where it is, well, good luck to you. Check out the full review of Rescue 2. Passing shot, it's tennis again. It's from the arcade, and curiously it mixes two sort of like views. One view where you're doing the serving, which isn't the easiest thing in the world, and as soon as you served it flicks to this top-down view. What are they thinking of there? Well, anyway, they're trying to recreate the arcade game. Do they do that? Well, I suppose they do. It takes a bit of practice, as all tennis games do. You might be good at one tennis game, but absolutely terrible at another one. It's a challenge. It'll keep you going. I think all of these are better in two-player when it comes to tennis. Passing shot. Addictable. It's like Tetris, but it's a scrolling Tetris gradually moving up. You must destroy these tiles before they crash into your bum and destroy you completely. Interesting, but you know, it has a strange a sound thing that keeps going up, maybe too much. Who threw that? Who threw that? Who threw that? Yeah, and that gets old very, very quickly. It's a curio without being one you should necessarily track down. All the normal things are there, shoot through stuff and power-ups. It's tennis again. Tennis champs. I think this game originally appeared on the Super Nintendo, I might be wrong, but cartoony graphics, it's really, really attractive, but the gameplay is incredibly difficult, probably the most difficult of all the tennis games we've looked at so far, which is a shame, because I could really, really get into this. I like the angle, I like the different style of surfaces of court you get to. I like the different players with their own special skills, but you know, good luck if you get a rally in this one. It's Tennis Champs, preceded by Super Tennis Champs, which is exactly the same engine more or less, but it gave you doubles as well, and this lovely purple court if you want to shoot around there. Now, I've got more of a chance with this one, because if you do doubles, one of your partners is a computer partner, and they'll be able to hit stuff back. So if you're frustrated with Tennis Champs, Super Tennis Champs in doubles might be the better way to go. Super Tennis, well, the normal Tennis Champs didn't have the doubles option at all, but two quality games. I wish I was a lot better at them. Footman, public domain, it's PacMan, but this you've got a choice of two sort of games in this one. One it's like top down, where PacMan is running around and you can see his trainers, and the other one is just a normal PacMan really, but I suppose it's essentially the same. Go, 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 Footman. It sounds like a bit of a fetish there, so if you're expecting a fetish game about feet, then you're going to be out of luck here. This is just the PacMan, and it did come with an editor as well, this game too. You know, the sounds of this are what makes it. It's brilliant. Sound-wise, Perfecto. Air supply. Now, in the style of 1942 or 1943, it's a bit slow for me, but you can change the colour of the background. It's almost as if they thought the game wasn't good enough, so let's see what else we can give them. But you need to pick up stuff on the ground, I think, and then get back to base. So, you know, it's a bit of a challenge there. Again, not using a great deal of the screen. It's a little bit slow for me, a little bit uninteresting, but it's there. Air supply. Pick up the air supply. Bomb that thing that says OK, I think. Deflector. First played this in 8-bit on the ZX Spectrum, but the idea is the same. From a starting place, you must deflect a laser by moving the mirrors like this, destroy all the nodes on the screen, and then direct it to the finishing engine, and then it's on to the next stage. It's a thinking man's game. If you played the women's game, if you played the 8-bit game and done a few levels, the levels are exactly the same there, except you've got a bit of music this time to accompany you on your amazing journey. Hooray! Pro Soccer 2190. Now, I really love Speedball 2 Brutal Deluxe. That game was brilliant by the Bitmap brothers. This trying takes that idea, but puts it in a 2D environment with bad animation and bad controls and terrible sound. Well done. Why did they do that? What's going on here? It's one to be avoided. It's probably one of the worst Commodore Amiga games of all time, and that's me saying it. So other people might think it's great, but you've just got no control over it whatsoever. The playability is poor. You never feel like you're having a proper game or have any influence over it. Street Gang, the stupidest street gang in the world, or at least scary. Here I am, going with glasses on, a blue jacket and crazy brown trousers. How did they let me join the gang? Looks like Stephen Merchant. He wouldn't join some ruffian super gang. Music is weird. It tries to be in a genre of Double Dragon, but doesn't get it at all. Some of the games in this collection are quite funny, and you have to look at it for that reason, and maybe think, thank God I didn't buy that one. Yes, move on. Pro Tennis Tour 2, my favourite tennis game and the one I owned by Ubisoft. There's singles, there's doubles, you can be a woman or a man, you can do mixed doubles, it announces the scores, you can do lobs, a great selection of shots that's there to be perfected. Again, like all these tennis games, once you learn how to win a rally, you're there, but it's all about getting the number one in the world and keep playing. Pro Tennis Tour 2, I loved it and spent a lot of time with that back in the day. There was some security of paper to get into the game as well to stop people copying it. Warm up, it's top down, Formula 1 action. It moves quite fast, so you don't see too much of the screen, but the sounds are brilliant on it as well. I didn't own it back in the day, but I think I would have played it quite a bit as I try and perfect my way round. You don't have to hit top speed, it's all about learning the track really. Better than Micro Machines, according to me anyway. But yeah, I like the thing, but I did crash a lot as I tend to try to go around too quick. There I am driving in the park somewhere when I should be on the tarmac. Volfied from the arcades, really love this game. It came out on the Mega Drive as well. Essentially, you control this drone around the perimeter of the screen, and by drawing a line, you gradually capture more and more area. You don't want to get hit by anything else that's going around, and the more area you collect, then eventually, once you've got enough, you go on to the next screen. But some great backgrounds on it. It's a bit of strategy to use, power-ups as well. Volfied, check out this and the Mega Drive version. Lovely little game, really like it. Haraca, Raid International, Moto NES, Quebec, Canada 90. That's the longest title I've ever reviewed. It's I think it's by Laura Sells. It's snowmobile racing, and it's very long-winded. Basically, there's about 30 of you, or some sort of number, and you must go through these flags and not come last each time. There's night racing, day racing, but after a few races you'd think, right, is there anything else in this game? No, not a great deal, but it is addictive if you want to get to the end and be the last man standing. Pro Tennis Tour, the one that came before Pro Tennis Tour 2, of course, it uses a similar engine, although serving is a lot more difficult. They perfected it in the second game. Up to now, this and Tennis Cup were probably my favourite tennis games well, best ones out there in my opinion, but there was a lot to choose from, and you've seen probably the most in any selection there if you're watching all these review game so far compilations. Pro Tennis Tour 2 is a bit better, gives you a few more options which you would expect from a sequel. Gazza's Super Soccer, now with Kickoff 2 and Kickoff 1 around, and Sensible Soccer, there's no real reason to play this at all. They've tried for different views on it, this side view and then the goal end view, but it's pathetic really. I mean, another one like that Pro Soccer 2190, you never feel control of the action, you never feel like you're doing proper passing, you feel like a bystander, and therefore it becomes frustrating. Where you can't control the nearest player to the ball, or it's slow to transfer over to that player that you want, it just takes it away. The Zwall, now a very ambitious game this, 3D flying warfare. Only problem with it, on a standard Amiga 500, it says it runs on OK, it slows down whenever there's a lot of action there. But there's a number of missions, if you have an Amiga 1200 or an Amiga with a much quicker processor, it probably is a great experience. I prefer games like Hunter where he was on the ground and chance of getting in the air, but too slow for me, but a great idea. I can see why people would have loved the thing. Gazza 2, much better than the original Gazza game, Gazza Super Soccer. Got more of the experience of Kickoff, but with a horizontal sort of platform. The only problem is my version in particular kept crashing all the time. I presume people that had it back in the day had less trouble. I prefer a vertical scrolling one for that, but that's just my preference. It's a lot better than the original without being perfect, but at least it plays and you can get a game of football out of it. Yes, good. Well done, Gascoigne. Redeemed himself slightly. Z-Wolf 2, more or less the same as Z-Wolf 1. Wild Justice, but with more missions there. Again, moves a little bit slow for me, but slightly improves. It's more like a data disc, really. So if you like the first Z-Wolf, buy Z-Wolf 2. It's a bit of a no-brainer, really. But fly around, destroy the enemy, pick up fuel, then get back to base. It's Wild Justice. It's not Sensible Justice. It's gone completely wild. Hooray! Yes, here I am in my helicopter. What could possibly go wrong? Midwinter, Now, I played this as a newbie, and I got a lot of stick for that, but this channel is always about being a newbie. It's quite an advanced game, and I only played it because it was recommended to me, but it's like a war scenario. There's lots of different buildings, missions to solve. The controls aren't the best in the world until you practiced it for ages, but it's polygon adventures, there's a lot there, and it's a good game behind it. I wouldn't have had the patience to play this to the degree to get any good of it back in the day, so that was pretty reflective of the review. 3D Galax, remember that game Galaxians, that really popular 2D one? Well, they've put it into 3D here with garish colours and silly music. Why would you do that? I do not know. It's another one of those games that feels like a tech demo, interesting to do, but not in my house. Yes, I wouldn't like to pay full price for the thing. I've got it free on a covered disc, that would have been ideal. But yes, just going past this mob every now and again, don't crash into them, and they'll turn up the ones that are left over. Interesting, but not great. Midwinter 2, Flames of Freedom. Now where this one advances over the first game, again you've got to put in the time to get best at it, but it gives you a comprehensive training mode. Here's me in the speed mode, so you could train and all the elements of the game beforehand, all the vehicles, to try and get a little bit of control in it before you drop into the main game, which is basically taking over the world, I think. In the bleak midwinter, frosty winds may blow. I don't think there's a Midwinter 3, but advanced games, but something that I'm never going to complete, and that's for sure. Forgotten Worlds, well, I wish I had forgotten about it. No, it's not too bad really. It's a horizontal scroller, and you collect items to buy upgrades in shops. The music could be a little bit beefier for me, but it's okay about being a spectacular game. It sure looks good. It's set in an apocalyptic world, which a lot of these games were. Forgotten Worlds, have you forgotten about it? Well, maybe check it out or check out the review. It's another shooter, which there are loads. My favourite is Silkworm. You knew that already. Bill's Tomato game, coming hot on the heels from Psygnosis from the success of Lemmings. I think they were trying to create another Lemmings, but didn't quite do it. But anyway, by positioning these fans or other objects, you must blow this tomato from one side of the screen to the conveyor belt without it getting damaged. Here it goes, bounce, bounce, bounce. Yes, that hasn't made it. And then it gets more and more advanced each time, getting over spikes, spears, and all that sort of stuff. Lemmings is a lot better, but with a guide, you get some fun out of this one. Kickstart 2, you'd be unfamiliar with this in 16-bit because it really lives in 8-bit territory. Control the speed of your bike to go over different obstacles or you'll fall off. You can guess what happened to me, can't you? I'm the guy at the top falling off every 2 seconds. But it's got an editor on this one as well, so you can try and make it easy for yourself. Kickstart 2, loosely after that program, Junior Kickstart was very popular back in the day. So if you just bought an Amiga and wanted some familiarity, Kickstart 2 wouldn't have been a bad one to get hold of. Arabian Knights, really colourful. Similar idea to Prince of Persia, but more arcadey platformer than that. You've got to rescue the princess, who I think has been kidnapped by some kind of dragon, but first you've got to escape from the dungeons because, of course, the nincompoops here think it's all your fault. You're just a lonely gardener, really. Lots of secret rooms, lots of things to discover and problems to solve in order to get through certain doors. Yes, I played it as my first ever go. It's quite kind. It doesn't kill you straight away if you make a mistake. Demo's Quest, if you're familiar with the game Chip's Challenge, it's a bit like that, but a bit more advanced in the graphics department and sound. You're controlling a frog this time called Demo, or Dimo as they used to call him, but you're going around this sort of like grid, collecting keys to go through doors again, collect all the sweets, and it's on to the next stage. It's got rather advanced bits going through, switches and bombs and all that sort of stuff, but it does have levels, codes, so you can jump to each one, so you don't have to start from start again each time you load up the thing. Grid Runner, amazing stuff from Jeff Minter, nothing like the 8-bit version of this. He always has great sounds in his games, look out for stuff from Llamasoft. But basically, it's like Transversion meets Centipede, I suppose, over a grid, blow everything up. The ship can divide into 2 on this version, for some reason. That has extra there, but just shoot, shoot, shoot. It's an interesting shooter to while up a bit of time. It's not getting many people's top 10s, but it's a crazy break from the norm. Squeak did have a sequel called Super Squeak. Influences like Cuba, but this is a top-down on a grid, going over the blue squares, turn them pink, shoot at the enemy if they're getting in your way. As soon as you've gone over all the squares, you complete the stage. It's on to the next one. There'll be obstacles in your way, bombs, ledges that disappear, additional enemies, and eventually you'll be swearing to yourself over and over again. Squeak, control that squeak sort of like character. Attic Attack. Now this is a game I bought from Public Domain from a magazine, because I thought it was going to be like the brilliant 8-bit version of Attic Attack, one of my favourite games, but this doesn't look finished. You're controlling a big red ball as opposed to a knight, surfer, or a wizard. There's no Dracula, there's no secret entrances, so it's interesting. I felt a little bit ripped off, although I probably only paid £1 or £2 for it. It isn't really Attic Attack. It doesn't keep the same map either, and what's that red thing doing there? There's no reason for that. Move on. Entity, the last one we've looked at in this 50. You're controlling this scantily clad woman in prehistoric dinosaur times, jumping over stuff, picking up things, and killing everything she sees, because that's the way she rolls, baby. Entity, it's so-so. It's not golden axe or anything, can't go up and down the screen, but the animation is quite good, I suppose. The backgrounds are delightful, the music is quite nice, so it would reward people who are into that sort of thing. Here she goes. A heroine in the game was quite rare as well. So I hope you liked having a look at all of those there. I certainly enjoyed reviewing them. So that was Amiga Games 501 through to 550. Thank you. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you for watching the reviews. We'll keep going in our own stress-busting way. Until next time, take great care of yourself and a very fond goodbye.
Goodbye.